Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast in another awesome episode. Today, I'm joined with Nicole, and we're 8 hours time difference. So, like we're traveling time in a way, because at the moment it's the morning for Nicole and evening for me. So, it's really cool that we can just sit on here talk about something that we're passionate about, which is going to be Crohn today. So, Nicole's going to be sharing her Crohn's journey, which is going to be really awesome. Because we spoke a little bit before we started, and it sounds a really cool story already. So, Nicole, it's great to have you come on to the podcast. Would you mind just doing a little introduction of yourself?
Sure. Hi. My name is Nicole. I am 31 and I was recently diagnosed just 2 years ago. And I've actually been suffering with it my whole life. So it was kind of brand new and surprising. I can't wait to share my story and, you know, hopefully reach more people and maybe make some new friends.
Yeah,
We all need new friends in this department.
yeah, we do, we do. Yeah. I think it's the highlight of having Crohn's, isn't it? That you meet so many great people out there.
It is interesting. The community was really surprising for me. I just ended up finding so many great souls that connected and really kind of supported me through it. And now I'm able to do it back and it's growing. And I don't know, I'm really excited about the opportunity with it.
Yeah, yeah, and like yeah. So that when I was like pre-diagnosis, it's quite hard, I think, because it's hard because I guess it all that comes down to if you've heard about Crohn's before or not. But when you're diagnosed, I think it's different for everyone, isn't it? So
Yeah.
like if you knew about it or didn't, um, so it's a good community, isn't it? Like the Crohn's community.
It is. It's definitely interesting too, because my experience with health problems throughout my life was to make sure I didn't talk about it and to pretend that it didn't exist and, just sort of look normal. And I've mastered that. And so it's made it very difficult to um, even get some doctors to be supportive in that. And so I find it really amazing that there's these communities out there that just sort of are open and loud about what they're going through, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get on this bandwagon, give me a microphone. I'll talk about my issues now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a safe space to do it, isn't it? Like you don't normally get anyone it's not very nice about it. And I found that, like with having Crohn's, that it's better, and it helped actually. It helped me boost my confidence when I got diagnosed. Not straight away,
No.
because I no, but not straight away. But I got diagnosed in 2017, so it's
Oh.
coming up 5 years this month. Um, so I say it's pretty cool. It's not really cool, but I guess it's cool in a way that 5 years.
Hey, I mean, you're ahead of me. I've only been diagnosed for 2 years, so I'm,
Yeah,
I'm with you. It's not cool, but it's nice to have an answer.
yeah, yeah,
Because when you were suffering and you didn't have an answer, it was just so much more difficult to navigate life and to connect with people. And I mean, I would sit down at dinner tables and be like, I can't eat that. And people would be like, why not? And I would be like, I don't know. It hurts, like I didn't have an actual reason. I would just tell them I had allergies. And finally it's like, oh, I have Crohn's disease. And now I can just be like, because I have Crohn's disease. And they're like, oh, no question about it. I won't even ask, like further information. So
yeah. Like I'm the same with like that experience, like with like food and like at the table and not eating it, and like I remember, not it wasn't even when I was diagnosed. I think I went to a restaurant with some friends, and it was a spicy food restaurant, and I didn't know what was happening. I was still in pain. I still want to meet up with friends even though I was in pain. And then I have I can't remember what I ordered, but I didn't eat it. I think it was chips. I think I just ordered chips. I tried to nibble on the chips, and I couldn't. And and then I said I'm done, and then like my friends thought, well, do you want to get someone else? And I said, no, I'm fine. I'll stay with the chips. And then, so yeah, it's pretty hard, because it's true what they say. Like, you don't properly understand unless you have it yourself.
Yeah. I think the worst part is I've actually stopped going out to other people's homes for dinner because I have to tell them the list of things that I can't eat or what I can eat. And then it limits them for what they're able to serve or cook. And I hate feeling like a burden in those situations. And so it's limited my social life even.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, finding these communities is just sort of like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Maybe I can hang out with you guys and you can cook and I can cook and we can just have really bland meals together.
Yeah. Makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think these past few years has been tough. Really, yeah. Like, like, because what's happened in the world and stuff like that. But also, it's just been a bit dull, isn't it? And like being like vulnerable and immunocompromised, like you say, having to limit your social life,
Yeah.
which can be hard. But which if you do stuff like this, it makes your day a little bit better if it wasn't. So
Exactly. Yeah. I was actually diagnosed in July of 2020. So it was just a few months after the whole COVID pandemic even began. And so I was in the hospital while, pandemic patients were in the other wing. And there was just so many restrictions where I couldn't be visited. And it was terrifying because I didn't know what was going on with me. And I almost died. I was admitted septic because I had lost 25 pounds and I wasn't able to even walk on my own at that point. So it was a really scary experience. And even after that, I couldn't recover normally because of, all the pandemic restrictions and people were like, oh, you were in the hospital. I don't want to see you because they didn't want to catch it or catch COVID. They thought, everybody in the hospital must be also getting COVID. And I was just like, what a nightmare. I can't even imagine, people that had to have, babies or operations at that time. Horrible. That's my dog.
yeah. Hi, dog.
Sorry.
No, it's a good distraction. Yeah, so getting diagnosed during the pandemic must be very stressful as well because like maybe like the NHS sorry, like doctors, nurses, or all of those guys are really busy with maybe COVID patients and maybe not so focused on like people getting a diagnosis maybe or something that they don't know, you don't even know yourself yet. So it must have been very stressful at that time.
It was. Yeah, even worse. It was actually, oh, okay. It wasn't difficult to be diagnosed because of how severe everything was. They did a colonoscopy the next day that I was in the hospital, and I was immediately diagnosed. There was no question because of how ulcerated everything was and all of my symptoms. And they brought in a gastroenterologist to do that. That wasn't hospital staff. So there was a lot of like specialists, and I was treated really well. What was really interesting for me is that I have grown up with a phobia of needles.
Yeah.
And my doctor was having to take my blood every day. And so I was telling him, I can't stay here anymore. It's causing me too much stress, because they would sedate me to get my blood. And so he was telling me, I need you to stay here because you're that unwell. And I was like, I'm not going to stay here unless you stop taking my blood. And so we made a deal that I stayed 2 more days and he didn't get my blood anymore. But and he waited until after I had been released from the hospital and we had a follow-up exam to let me know that the prognosis for Crohn's is IV treatments And I was like, oh, thank you for that. I'm so glad that this can't be an oral medication. So I had to go and get treatment to get over my fear of needles so that I could take care of my Crohn's.
Yeah. Yes.
So out of all the crazy, that was the hardest part for me.
Yeah. It's not fun, is it, having all these injections all the time and
No.
like going for blood tests and like depending on like, I guess what depends on medication you're on. If you because not every medication is that you don't need a needle or a cannula for it. Like you can, but most do. Most is like an injection. If you are on medication, yeah.
I am. I'm on a drug called Remicade, and they do that for me every 8 weeks with an IV in a hospital setting for about 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And it's helping, but I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess it's not as bad as having it maybe every few weeks. Like 8 weeks is, I guess when you're having it though, it doesn't feel long until your next 8 weeks you go back.
Yeah, it comes around pretty quickly. And these days I've gotten a little bit more relaxed with the idea. Even though I don't panic anymore when I see the needle, I still have anxiety because it hurts really bad. Because I don't just have Crohn's, I have fibromyalgia. And so the needle going in itself is very painful. So it's just extra anxiety around the idea of it, really. And then I get over it once it's in.
Yeah. Well, when I used to go in for like infusions and stuff, I would always squeeze my hand really hard. I was like, it would go red and like my nails would dig, it would come into my skin like,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it just helped me. It didn't help my hand, but
It's a good distraction, right? When you just clench and you dig in to your palm.
yeah. And I always wanted the same person though, or a person that I recognised, that they knew what they were doing. Like I wouldn't like a newbie. No offense to them. I did have one situation though with a newbie or a trainee person. And the situation is that like you had the person that I'm used to thinking, oh no, you're going to do this today, and they said they asked me if they could have like this trainee person and they'll be with them to put the candle in my arm for the infusion, and I said yes because I was nice at the time. And then
Don't be nice.
but you'll see the next part is because normally if you have good veins and I guess you drink a lot before your infusion, which I normally do. So every time I think it's going to be good, and then it normally is, and then it took we're 5 minutes in, I think, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, in my mind, I'm saying why this long, and then I think I end up saying, can the other person do it because I don't get why you're not doing it. He said, and then the person says, can we go on this arm? And we did, and then still not working. And the thing is, when someone does it wrong with me, because I think I've got good veins.
I do too.
And yeah, and I drink a lot. I make sure I drink a lot. I probably drink a litre or 2 litres before I go. Not which I'll probably go over toilet half a dozen times during the infusion for that. But
isn't that convenient with your IV pole?
yeah, like it's annoying because you have to ask to get unplugged and then and stuff like that, and yeah, and then after when I asked them to change it over for the person I'm used to, they did it in a few seconds and it was done. And then this trainee went over to across the room to another one, and they put it in, like they didn't put it in the vein. They put it where another place where I felt sorry because the person had to stay even longer to for that. So I made a good choice to change when I did.
Yeah, no, I had, well, because of my fear, I don't mess around. I understand. They've actually designated a particular nurse for me at the facility now, and nobody else is allowed to work with me because I have fears. I'm like, I think I traumatized the nurses when I cry. They don't like it.
It's good you have
Like,
that
I don't care
one
how
that,
old I am, I will cry.
yeah, yeah. I had this situation where I don't normally cry. Um, I
That's
don't
good.
like I don't like to cry in front of people, but
Me
but
neither.
but this one situation I couldn't help it. Like I think it was either I can't remember what when it was because I went into it was either when I went into hospital because I was in a before my Crohn's when I had massive stomach pain and stuff, or it was either where there was there was a situation I went to hospital because I couldn't walk for some reason. I still don't know to this day why that happened.
Mm.
And what happened was I had the blood test with this man, and he was keep like he wasn't going into my vein with a needle, and I didn't know if he was doing it right or not because he was keep saying he was doing it, but I shouldn't be feeling this pain. So I was crying, and then um I he stopped it, and then someone else did it wa- later on, but I did cry there because it was very painful.
It does hurt when they miss.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
does.
like it.
No, I don't either. And then the annoying thing is that his this doctor or blood test guy was he didn't come to say apologize. His the person who comes to get you to do it did said he's very sorry, and then well I understand why he probably didn't come because I would have been annoyed with him even more if he came himself. But yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, but yeah, it's not great. Like they say that they're trained and they do it wrong, and then it's not good.
Well, the Chronicles of Crohn's.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. The Chronicles of Crimes. That is a good name for it, I think. Um, so how long did it take for you to actually get diagnosed with Crohn's?
So, that was it was an interesting journey. It really was something that I actually was born with. So I've been just dealing with it as food limitations my whole life. And then when the pandemic hit, things got really stressful, and just like everybody else, your world sort of fell apart a little bit, and you were struggling to just make ends meet, and just the regular problems with pandemics, I guess. And so I ended up getting really sick, and I was down for about 3 weeks, and I lost, like I said, a ton of weight. And I went to the ER twice, and my second ER doctor was like, "You might have Crohn's disease." And I just looked at him and I said, "No, I don't." I was like, "No, I don't. I don't have Crohn's disease. Don't put that on me."
Yeah.
And I left with a referral to a gastroenterologist, and I was like, "Okay, I'll go see." And brought me into the gastroenterologist's office. They wanted to run a bunch of tests, but it was going to take some time. So my mom actually brought me to her place. I was there for about a week, and I got so sick that I wasn't able to move. I couldn't regulate my breathing. I wasn't able to keep down any food. And at that point, I went to a physical therapist who was doing some releases around my body. And he goes, "You need to go to the hospital right now." And so I went from that office. I got in the car with my mom. She brought me straight to the hospital. They admitted me for being septic. And then I found out the next day after they did the colonoscopy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's so not long at all, and a colonoscopy is not very nice, is it?
it's not,
Um,
no. And he gave me, I think, how you have to drink that big jug, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He gave me 3 hours to finish that.
Oh,
He was like, "If you want it done today, you have
mm,
until 1 o'clock." And it was like 10. And I was like, "Give me the jug."
yeah,
I'm like, "I'm not waiting any longer. The more I wait to do this test, the longer I'll be in the hospital. Give me the jug."
yeah. It's not to drink as well, isn't it?
It is. And it's not good. And then the fact that you're having to go in the middle of drinking it and to the bathroom and back, and you're just sort of like tortured. And that the more that you drink this, the more you're gonna have to go to the bathroom. It's like, It's a mental struggle too.
Yeah, it is, and I was fortunate I did it at home. I was fortunate I did it at home, but the funny thing is, because I was empty anyway, because I lost a lot of weight too, and
Okay.
I wasn't eating as well, um, so that meant that I didn't really have anything to empty,
Yep.
so I didn't even drink the whole of it because I thought maybe I'm not going to. I didn't go to the toilet once. I, I did for a week, but I don't count.
No.
But yeah, it was weird, and they said I had 100% record of it when they said you're completely empty, and I might emptied a little bit, but because it 15 minutes it take me to drink it. I put orange juice in it, I think I did as well. Um,
Oh, that's lucky.
but it didn't taste much. You don't still taste it though. It's not. You taste it even more than the orange juice. um, but yeah, it's not nice, and I've only had one since I've been diagnosed, and then I had a sigmoidoscopy last year, which is just it's not the whole lot. It's just I think the top part. No, the bottom half of your bowel, and it's not as bad, but yeah, it's not a nice thing we go through, is it?
No. And since I was diagnosed, I've only had one as well. They wanted to do both. They did an endoscopy and a colonoscopy at the same time. So
Yes.
I lucked out because I didn't have to do those separately. So
Yeah.
thank goodness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yes. It was like I think it's good in a way they just get it over and done with straight away rather than just going back again and doing the other one.
yeah, no, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
not looking forward to my next one.
Oh
Who knows what they're gonna make me do?
no. I was sedated for it. So
Oh
um,
yeah.
but I still felt bits of it. Um, which it was I remember I did like the one that put that down your throat second. I think I did. I can't remember. I'm sure I did. But yeah, that one weren't great really because you have to breathe and they say stay still, stay still.
Oh my goodness. No, I was totally out for all that. Thank goodness. I would have
Yeah,
not been well if I remembered any.
yeah,
Probably never go back.
yeah, yeah. But no, but as we have Crohn's, we're gonna have more and more, aren't we, of them?
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah, but yeah, it's at least we get answers from it though, like you get a diagnosis of a Crohn's when afterwards.
Absolutely. It's worth it. It's just torture.
Yeah, yeah. Um, like I never heard of one even before Crohn's, so I was going in for this procedure and um ill, let's say, and it's you got let's say it's an experience. Best part was there shouldn't be a best part, but the best part was I was looking at the camera, like like because you can um when you stay awake over here, like you can look at the camera what they're doing inside, which I don't know. I just found a distraction. Um,
That would be interesting. Kind of follow the camera through your body.
yeah, yeah,
No, I
yeah.
think that's cool.
Yes, it was pretty cool. It it, it, yeah. I enjoyed the when they put it at like the tube at your back passage. I would say enjoyed, but it just felt better than like the other one. Like the down your throat where it is the best bit is when it goes out. Like it's done. It's all done. It's out, and then it's all right. Where we survived.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We look forward to that part.
Yeah, yeah. So, how are you doing with your Crohn's at the moment, Nicole?
I'm actually surprisingly finally doing well. For the last 6 months, I was having a lot of bowel disruption. And now I'm finally starting to have a solid bowel movement, which is much, I've been waiting for that. It's been a incredible journey just to get here, because I was so stressed out for the last 6 months, and now I'm finally like, oh my goodness, my body is behaving normally. Don't scare it. Like, don't do anything that might mess it up. I'm like, and I'm traveling on Friday and going, okay, don't eat anything new. Make sure that you don't get stressed out. Like, show up at the airport early, just like, preparing myself to not have any kind of digestion overload or something, where I can just manage myself while I'm out of town.
Yeah. Yes, it's always like it's hard when you travel and you go places, because I guess you always think like, is something going to happen, or like you just fear it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. I mean, you don't know. Even like I have so much control over the food that I eat, and I make sure that, the spices and the crackers, or I don't do anything with nitrates or hormones. I don't hardly do any vegetables. My diet is so limited, and I make sure it stays that way so that I can protect myself. And when I go travel, I'm like, okay, I need to go to the grocery store. I am not going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're doing back there?
Yeah, because they put all these ingredients in, don't they? And you just don't know if there's like, is there something that you can't have, or something. So always best to be safe, I guess. Like you say, go to a shop, you know what you can have, and you know what you have to avoid.
Absolutely. So to answer, absolutely, I am in remission, and I am hoping to stay that way.
Yeah. It's very hard to get into remission as well, because like it takes some people a year. Like, I think that's the great thing about Crohn's. Everyone's different. We all have our different stories. Because I was in remission for a little while. I was
Yeah.
and then because remission is a very unique kind of term, I think, because like my remission was really cool, and then I was out of remission, not because I was in any pain. It was because maybe Crohn's levels were a bit out of range, that they weren't in maybe the normal range it should be, and that's why I'm out of remission. Wasn't because I'm in any pain, which I haven't really been. Like, not the pain, like a burning sensation in my stomach, kind of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do get fatigue quite a lot of the time. That's a common symptom of mine.
I guess I would only say remission regarding my digestive
Hmm.
situation. And that's like not something that I imagine is going to stay that way. It kind of ebb and flows. So when you said that, like I'm going, well, yeah, my fatigue is not any different. And, it's just specifically with, my digestive symptoms, because I have trouble swallowing. Like, I have all of the whole digestive tract issues, and that never stops. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just sort of one of those things where I'm like, oh, thank goodness, regular bathroom habits for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I remember, like, when before I was diagnosed and I couldn't eat, I had a whole meal in front and I just I couldn't eat it. And I was bloated after a mouthful or something. It's crazy. And like I say, I've always had, because it's like with fatigue, I can tell the difference before I was diagnosed and now.
Yeah.
Like it's very much different. Like, fall asleep kind of fatigue sometimes. Say if you're doing maybe lots of exercise, and then you come home maybe halfway through the day, and then you go for sleep, and then for me, I stay up for most of the rest of the night. That happens. I won't be tired. Some people are, so some people are very tired, but I guess fatigue isn't. It is it's a human function that we're all going to have, but it's just like maybe people who are immunocompromised have Crohn's, maybe just get it a bit more tiring.
Quite
Yeah,
a bit.
yeah, and don't even have to do much either sometimes.
No, you can get out of bed and go lay down again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
It's 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 um it's pretty crazy. Yeah. So what kind of food can you eat and what can't you eat?
Okay. I know I touched on that just a titch, but I've got a whole lot of don'ts. I'm actually sugar-free, dairy-free, soy-free, corn-free, gluten-free. I don't eat nightshades, which are inflammatory foods like potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants. I don't eat foods that are high in FODMAPs, which are just fruits and vegetables that carry a high amount of sugar content. So I don't eat like mangoes or broccoli or garlic or onions and things like that. And I mainly, and I don't eat corn. So I mainly eat meat that has no seasoning, nitrates, or hormones, and that's not cured or dried.
Yeah.
So nothing happens, or smoked, I mean. So I can do, because I don't do free radicals either, which the smoked aspect, it leaves that.
Okay.
So like I said, any kind of meat, just super basic. And then I eat rice in all forms, rice crackers, cereal, rice noodles, rice milk, because I don't do any legumes either, because those are considered high FODMAPs. So that takes all of the, like that's like peanuts and cashews and beans of any sort. I have a very, very limited diet.
Yeah.
I like it. It's not an issue. It's just, I figured out how to do it well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you can't be a bit of rice, can you?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically I live on meat and carbs, which people are very surprised by because I'm not, heavy, and they attribute carbs to a weight gain. Whereas for me, it's like, if I don't eat carbs, I feel very ill.
Mm.
So I just try to balance it with more protein, less carbs, but
Yeah. Like, yeah, I used to live on rice too. Like, before I was diagnosed, all I was having was rice. Literally all time.
yeah. For breakfast, I understand.
Yeah, yeah. So I can understand like what you're saying a little bit there, and like yeah, because you had to eat little things when you was on the prep for the colonoscopy. So you can only eat the little things like I think like rice and stuff like that. So and you couldn't drink either for a long period of time. So all that taste of what you're drinking is it's in your mouth overnight. So it's not friendly, that was, but yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Good.
rice is it's supposed to make you full, isn't it? Like if you have a lot of rice, or it's supposed to make you really full. So it's
It does.
not bad.
It works.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
I'm not
But,
starving anymore.
yeah, yeah. Like for me, I can't really eat spicy foods. I can't have caffeine.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yes. Me neither.
yeah, can't have caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just have diet, like coffee, or I don't really drink tea, so I don't have tea. But like every once in a while, if I have Coke or something, will be diet, or non-caffeinated.
I know. Yeah. It take the fun out of it a little bit.
Well, funny enough, I don't really taste the difference.
No, not
But
the different
I,
taste,
I,
but just the fun of drinking it.
oh
Like I
yeah,
would have coffee and be like,
yeah, because you're not getting any. It's not helping. Like considering fatigue with Crohn's, and you're having a non-caffeinated thing that's not giving no caffeine. So
Yep.
it's not great.
You're like, eh. I mean, I still drink it. Don't get me wrong. I have decaf coffee right over there, but I miss just the kick you used to get. Because when I'm tired, I'm like, well, I'm tired. There's
Yeah,
nothing I can do about it now.
yeah, and like in most places, like going, for example, if you go to maybe a restaurant or something, quite likely not to have decaf things in there, and you most likely, like, if you go to a supermarket, you are most likely to get maybe a decaf thing there. So it's a bit sad that it's like that.
I know. They do make it difficult. I mean, luckily these days things are more accessible, but they're not as uniform in, availability everywhere. So I understand what you mean. It's just
Yeah.
sort of like one day we'll get there.
Yeah, we will. And a couple years after I was diagnosed, I found out that actually like 7 Up is non-caffeinated, but it's really small on the actual can. So I found out you can actually get non-caffeine of that, which helps. Like I think more and more things are coming out that haven't got caffeine in it, which is good for us.
Definitely. Yeah. I typically grab a Sprite Zero because it's sugar-free and no caffeine.
Yeah, I always get a Sprite.
And it's good. I know.
Yeah, the Sprite is awesome.
Good for your stomach. Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. Do you want to speak a little bit about like your like speaking with your local news about like having a voice?
Yeah, absolutely. So, recently I was actually in a modeling competition where I had no idea if I was going to get in. And so I just happened to submit a couple of pictures, and I made the cut, which was really amazing. And so I kind of was like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And I put in my bio that I was there to advocate for, those of us with autoimmune disorders. And I wanted to be a voice and an advocate for, those who can't. And instead of using the prize money for, my own benefit, I wanted to donate a portion of it to a Crohn's Foundation. And I wanted to support and be a voice in, winning that competition for other people like myself. Instead of just being on the cover and saying, oh, look at me, I'm amazing. It was, oh, look at me, I have this, and I'm representing, millions of people that are also suffering that don't have a voice here. And so as a result, I ended up getting myself on or in a local newspaper, just sort of talking about the advocacy. And it was because I actually made it to the quarterfinals, and I won my quarterfinals spot, which was about, I think it was 1% of the people in the competition that got the quarterfinals. And then even further after that, there were 30,000 people in this competition. So it was a really big deal. And all of my supporters, or the majority of my supporters, I shouldn't say all, have autoimmune disorders and are working, to be as supportive in that as possible. So it was really empowering, and my community grew immensely as a result of it. And so I actually ended up getting people from my local community that were supporting me as a result of the article. And I've done a live interview and now this podcast, which is amazing. And I'm just sort of like, I'm loving the opportunity to kind of stand on a soapbox a little bit, just because I've been so silenced my whole life by myself. I did it to me, but I was keeping my voice as small as possible because I didn't want people to know that I was suffering. And I wanted to have that picture perfect lifestyle where everything was just sort of like, oh, all of the bad stuff or the stuff you don't want to talk about is just swept under the rug. And I was like, you know what, screw this. Let's talk about it. Because I'm sick of pretending. It keeps people at bay when they don't really know what's going on in your life. And I want real connections, and I want to be, raw and embarrass myself. It's good. Why not?
It is good. Like I think we hide away for such a while, and then you think like that maybe you don't know about it much yourself. You maybe don't know many people, and then you find a good community like this, and like do like what you done to get into like the newspaper, which is really cool. Like and it's like a moment that you're going to remember forever. So it is like it's really good because like you say, it will inspire other people. Yeah, you have to show me it, because it'll be nice to have a look.
Absolutely. I'd love
Yeah,
to. I also just feel like it's different when you see a disabled person doing something that you would imagine an abled person doing, so being a model isn't something that you typically see folks with disabilities doing. And I also wanted to just be a little bit of an inspiration in that. And the fact that I was even able to do it was amazing for me. And I actually took the pictures for myself. I didn't take them to put them in the competition. And so then I went, oh, okay, well, let's see if they work. And why not, show other people that just because you're disabled doesn't mean that you're completely incapable of doing something that you may really want to do.
yeah.
So
Right. I think whenever you put your mind to something, you can do it, because like I never thought about maybe doing a podcast before, and then it's a good way to meet new people, and like it's great. And like speaking today, like with you, hearing about your story is awesome, and like learning new things as well. It's really cool. And and you can say you shared your story again, and it's kind of a good moment for you to share your story, and we can share things with each other.
absolutely. It's been wonderful meeting you. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's been great, because like we said at the beginning, different time zones. It's always fun with different time zones, because it's like morning for you, evening for me.
I know.
Yeah,
My son is blinding.
yeah. Yes, it's pretty crazy. Just before we finish, Nicole, is there anything, like any advice any last words that you want to say before we
I'd
finish?
love to. So I know for me that, going through the Crohn's journey and feeling the discouragement of like, okay, well, if everything hurts to eat, what can I eat? And just sort of grieving what you have to let go of, keep at it. You start, like, it's the same thing as giving up something that you may crave, like sugar. It just takes some time to get past that moment of, grieving or craving or wanting that for yourself or feeling like you're missing out. And you start realizing that taking care of yourself is so much more important than eating that food. And if you start to love you, and it's you and your body against the disease instead of you against your body, then you can start to accept that this is the way that you can love yourself the best and support yourself the most and be the best version of you. So don't give up, be patient, and allow yourself to feel all the negative feelings, because when you do, they can go past and you can start to feel the positive ones.
Yeah, I love that, because it's all about being like uplifted and like have a lot of energy. So I love that, Nicole, and I'm glad that you've enjoyed like today, because it's been really cool like speaking with you. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch and everything. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah. Agreed.
Definitely.
I had a
Well,
blast.
yeah, it's been awesome. Well, thanks, Nicole. It's been great.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.